Hey guys, what's up? Mike here, and today I'm going to talk about a little My Hero Academia. This week's chapter is chapter 129, and boy, it was actually a pretty good one. Just more of a setup chapter like usual, but we got some good Overhaul stuff, and also a little bit of Deku development, and showing how he can act under pressure now, and how he's improving in that aspect already on this first day of field training. So let's get in the review today, guys. First things first, I'm going to start off by apologizing for getting this chapter out a little bit later today. I know it came out really early in the morning and I meant to actually get up early and review it, and I got a chance to, but the construction of my building's been really bad and the sound has been awful. I just got a chance right now to make the video with a constant jackhammering all around me. So yeah, anyways, the chapter starts off with Izuku back on his first day of training with Sir in their internship or whatever. We get a look at Togata's actual real hero name when he asks Deku what his is, and he says Deku, and we get a little reminder that that basically means worthless piece of shit. So that's nice to know, and always surprises people when they hear it. But Deku's really starting to own that. Well, not starting to. He started owning that even a long time ago, like first, I don't know, 15 chapters. He said Deku's the name of a hero now. But no, we get to see that Togata's is Lumillion, I think it was, and that's because he wants to save 1,000,000 people, and that's pretty interesting. I think it's a very cool name, but it doesn't really have a lot to do with his quirk, but I guess it's okay, whatever he wants to do. He also says that his name sounds like a band that he likes, and I've never heard of this name of the band before, but I mean, whatever floats his boat, I guess. But they do run into Overhaul at this time, like we saw in the previous week's chapter. I guess it wasn't last week, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, because last week was a hiatus, which is interesting, but the chapter artwork looks back to normal this week, and it looks pretty good, so I guess I'm not complaining. If you want to take a break off there, or a week off, then I'm totally okay with that. So we found out last week that the girl who ran into Izuku is supposedly Overhaul's daughter, or at least that's what he calls her. I really doubt that she's actually his biological daughter, but I think that she's probably just under the influence that she should act like his daughter while she's in public because Overhaul told her to, and that just looks right. So when they run into Izuku and Miorio, sorry, he wants to just pretend like he's a good guy, and he really acts like he's nice, and even seeing him do that weird kind of cheesy smile when he ran into Izuku and they were just kind of exchanging words at first seemed a little bit out of place, especially with the Plague Doctor mask on his face. But it's still, it goes good for his clever character. I mean, he's able to act really well under pressure, as we see in this chapter. You know, he was a second away from killing them at one point, but he kept his composure and he didn't go that far unless he absolutely needed to. So that's really interesting to see from Overhaul's side. We get a little bit more perspective on how clever of a leader he is and really what his potential is in the future. Immediately when Izuku sees Overhaul, he gets this look of despair on his face, like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And immediately Togata kind of kicks up the mask onto Izuku's face so he hides his own face so that Overhaul doesn't recognize him in the future, but I think it was already too late by then. Overhaul would have seen Izuku's face before he put the mask up, but I mean, you never know. But also I wonder if Overhaul actually saw this face that Izuku made at the beginning. And I'm going to go ahead and go with no, because there's no specific panel that could lead us to believe that. But then again, it could have just been left out, you know. But I think that they would have included that if it was going to be towards Overhaul's cleverness as a character, like I was saying before. At this point, Togata completely plays it cool, which is a really smart move from him. Again, acting well under pressure, like pretty much all the characters in this chapter that we see. And he just kind of says, we should be apologizing to you, you know, sorry for running into her, you know, have her back, just play cool and walk away. And that's kind of what I predicted would happen. I didn't think there would be some big fight with Overhaul, but it actually got pretty close this chapter. At this point, we definitely see that Overhaul is on guard, though. He's acting professional in a way that he should in this scenario, and he's actually questioning them, and he says, you know, I haven't seen you guys before. Are you rookies or something? And Togata does a good job of lying here and saying, oh yeah, we're rookies, we're just starting out. This is our first day on training. And we're just students, and he says the student part after that Overhaul confronts him and says, oh yeah, which affiliation are you with, which training are you under? And they kind of just were a little surprised at that, but Togata acted really quickly. And I was definitely surprised at that because Overhaul was kind of grilling them a little bit. He definitely doesn't know who they are, but he's definitely using his abilities to his strength and trying to reveal information when he can. This point of the chapter was kind of the oh shit moment where I thought things were going to go off the wall when the little girl goes and grabs Izuku by the arm and says, please don't go, you know. She begs him, basically crying, and it honestly looks like this girl is an absolute terror. So Izuku is obviously going to do something about this. And people say that Izuku kind of played this off the wrong way, but honestly, any hero in that scenario that would have seen a little girl with this guy with all these bandages on her arm, as Izuku was saying, and asking him about this afterwards, he would have reacted the same way. He would have had to say something, because that's what a hero does. Togata, I think, trying to just get him to go out of there, I think that would have looked way too suspicious. I think Overhaul would have known that they were trying to just escape quickly so that they weren't revealing any information. I think that they have, if they just act like normal, naive beginners that would try to act under a scenario like this, I think that that was the right thing to do, and I definitely think that Izuku played it off pretty nicely in this scenario when he, you know, he did question Overhaul pretty well, and he asked him a few things. At this point, Izuku definitely does have the look of suspect on his face, and I feel like that kind of triggers Overhaul, because he comes back with a pretty decent response that, you know, normally people would say, especially I think in Japanese culture, don't impose your normal behavior on others or whatever. So he's saying, you know, maybe my relationship with my daughter is a little bit messed up, but that's not for you to judge. And I guess he's got a point, but when it comes to putting her in danger, I think that's a whole nother realm that heroes are actually allowed to step in this universe. If you really think about it, what would All Might do in this scenario? You know, Izuku's going to be the #1 hero, and yes, he wants to be a little bit different than All Might, but All Might is his one thing that he's been trying to imitate this whole story. And what would All Might do in this scenario? You know, he wouldn't walk away. There's no way that he would ever let this slide and just do what Togata thought that Izuku should do. So in that scenario, I think Hirokoshi was kind of subtly pointing out that Izuku really is more like the #1 hero than Togata is, and he really is more deserving, because he was able to act in this scenario where Togata was willing to just let it go so easily. When asked to explain farther, Overhaul kind of sighs and he says, "Oh, you heroes, you're perceptive, you know, I'll give you credit for that. The topic is really embarrassing, so let's go over here in this dark alleyway where we can talk about it." And immediately, you get the red flags in that scenario. I mean, anybody who wants to bring you into a back, dark, deep alley doesn't really have good intentions, probably. If they want privacy, they'll probably just text you or talk to you over the phone, and if you just met them and you're right on the street and there's nobody around, then you got your privacy, you know? So this was a red flag right here for the heroes, but they do oblige because they don't want to seem suspicious, like they said before. Also, they need to go in there because they want to help the girl. I think that was the main point why they really followed Overhaul into this dangerous place, is because the girl is clearly in danger, and if they had just left after realizing that, then they would be kind of cowards, you know? As Overhaul's leading him into this alley, he kind of goes on a little speech and he says, "The girl always defies me, and I never really understand children." And as he's doing this, he's slowly taking off his gloves, as we see in the bottom of the panel. And then at the very, very bottom of the page, we see Overhaul's killer intent face. And everyone there recognizes it. Izuku does, Togata does, but I think the first one who does is the little girl, and she looks terrified. Immediately, she runs right back to him, and she realizes that if she had just stayed over there, they probably would have died, or something close to that. I don't know. We don't know how Togata's quirk will actually match up with Overhaul's quirk, because it seems like Overhaul's quirk only works on biological beings, you know, living things, the opposite of what Momo's quirk is. Hers only works on non-living things. It'd be interesting to see if there was a relationship there, but I doubt it. His quirk seems to only work on living things, so if we were to put it onto Togata with his phasing quirk, what would that be like? Where he can just have anything phase through him. So would he even be able to touch him, as Overhaul's quirk seems to activate on touch? I don't know, but either way, it seems like this little girl did the right thing by running back to Overhaul and avoiding a fight at this point, because he was seconds away from snapping. At this point, Overhaul basically apologizes and then leaves, and Izuku and Miorio can basically do nothing about it. At this point, when the little girl goes back to him, they have no say in stopping them or whatever. If she's willing to go back there, then they kind of just have to let them go. And then they made the right choice in that situation. I think they acted pretty well in this scenario. We then see Overhaul heading back to his base, which seems to be very, very highly fortified, maybe even way underground, like some sort of bunker. At least that's what it looks like. We can't really be sure. But he goes back there and he's kind of just taking his girl back and getting her ready for whatever he's going to do to her, which I'll talk about in a second. One of his employees walks up and says, "Sorry for letting her out, you know, that was my bad." Overhaul basically just says, "Oh yeah, just prepare me a bath," and then kills the guy, and then says, "Oh yeah, clean this up too." that was a badass moment. I'm not gonna lie. Overhaul's character is getting more hype and hype each week, and I can't wait to see what he's like in an actual combat scenario. If he's not just gonna be more than a one-punch man thing, and maybe he'll have some other abilities that will be extensions of his own quirk, because we all know that once you get to know your quirk very well, you can actually do new things with it. You learn how to adapt to certain scenarios and learn even new little abilities and whatnot, like Kaminari, who learned the lightning shoot, and everybody else who learns new stuff. The chapter concludes with Overhaul bringing the girl back into some sort of laboratory filled with technological stuff and a big chair with harnesses on it. And it kind of reminds me of the office that One for All was in way back when he was getting repaired before the fight with All Might. But I don't doubt it's the same office. I mean, there wouldn't really be a connection there. But it seems to me that it looks like they're going to be extracting something from the little girl, and Overhaul says that she is the key to his plan. So I feel like she may have some sort of special ability within her. We really have no idea what it is at this point. But it would make sense that it's something to do with blocking out a quirk, maybe. It seems like they're extracting her blood, so maybe her blood has something to do with being able to stop someone else's quirk, or just do something crazy in general. We're not really sure at this point. But it's interesting to think about. He then gets a call from Shigaraki. Well, he doesn't get the call, one of his minions gets a call, and it says that Shigaraki finally has a response. Now this is interesting because he says it's just a response. He doesn't really have an answer. I mean, it kind of means the same thing. But I think that Shigaraki won't just give in and say, okay, yes, we will join you and we'll do whatever you say. I think the fact that they said response means that it'll be Shigaraki, you know, kind of compromising and saying, okay, listen, we'll work with you, but we're not working under you. We're going to be teammates, and I'm going to be the leader as well as you. So we're going to have two leaders in this. And maybe that would be interesting if it actually did work out, but I feel like it won't, because Overhaul just does not seem to have good chemistry with other people. And I mean, he does have his team of his own, but at the same time, he just doesn't seem like it. I don't know. He seems like a really clever guy, but we'll have to wait and find out. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this chapter this week. It was a really good one, just more set up for a hype coming chapters in the next couple weeks. So if you like the video, like and subscribe if you want, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace, guys.